What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Happy New Year's 2022. We're starting it off right. Today's New Year's Day. Randy's over here. We're at B&K Performance. Got Milton over here. Brian's out there. We got everybody here. We worked on my junk yesterday, not the race car, but the tow pig. And so today we're going to get Randy's car together, hopefully. Well, I shouldn't say Randy's car together. I should say the engine is going to be finally done today, I hope. That's what our plan is. This, how much horsepower we're going to make this year? 500. 2,500 horsepower, maybe 3,000. What does that turbo max out at?
I'm not sure.
Whatever it maxes out at, this little Fontana block is going to take it. It's going to take it.
I'm gonna blow the heads off of it.
I hope not. I hope we don't blow their heads off. All right, let me show you what we got going on. Don't forget to go to turbojohnracing.com, grab some t-shirts. We got that new one coming out. And comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Here's Randy's monster. We're kind of leaving off where we did last time. Last time, if you remember, when we put the head on it to check everything, these were just a tad too long. So we got nice flat wheel here. And I think it was a 60 grit that I got. And I put it on the side grinder. And we just basically knocked the edges off of those. Knocked them down about 100 thousandths. And so that way we'll have plenty of clearance and we won't have any issues. So that's going to be a good thing. We do have to put the O-rings in the heads. And Randy just remembered, I forgot, we're going to have to clearance the block for the push rods. So we're going to have to, we'll drop the heads on here, put the lifters in it real fast, drop the heads on it, see which ones we need to clearance. I can't remember if it was intake or exhaust. I think it was exhaust. I can't remember. So we're going to do that real fast. And then that's going to be just taking a little side grinder with a little burr and just notching the block here. All this material is just, we just got to clearance it just a tad. So once we see which one it is, the intake or the exhaust, then we should be good to go. So our plan today is to have a completed engine, essentially. We've got the bottom end is together. Of course, all this stuff is done on the front. So if we can get the heads bolted on it, get the rock arms on it, get the valves adjusted, and go ahead and get the, did you bring the intake too? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and get the intake on it. I have not seen that thing in person yet, the elbow. Shoot, man, we might have a motor looking like something here. All right, let's try it. All right, guys, so it is the exhaust, and these are the push rods. Man, they are massive. They are horses. And you can see right here on the exhaust side, we're just going to have to mark it basically where the head is. This will be easy. So we'll just mark each one where it's hitting because the head is actually cut out. And then we'll be good to go. These freaking push rods are freaking gangster, son. 1/2-inch push rod. These are Mantons. Manton 10.2 is what we use on the intake side. Exhaust is 10.4. Wow. Wow, that thing is massive. It's crazy. Okay, let's mark this and then we'll clearance it. All right, guys, well, this is going to be a multi-step process. We got the width right here, but it's going to have to go down a little bit further, about down to here. But a little bit bigger notches than what I was hoping we were going to have to do. Okay, so we just got mock-up happening here. So we got these just on there. We're trying to see if our clearancing is working on the block, and it is. You can see we got plenty of clearance down there now. It's kind of hard to see, but it's 50 or 100 thousandths, which is good. That's plenty. So they are hitting the head. I did grind on it a minute ago, but I didn't quite give it enough clearance. So we're gonna have to grind on the head a little bit more. We'll take these back off, and then we gotta go to the other side and do the other side. All right, guys. So I didn't want to bore y'all with a ton of time lapse, but these heads have been on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off a bunch of times. And see, we got this side finally clearance. This one's good. And we just did this side as well. We did have to clearance up in the head as well, just on the intake side where it comes through. But it was just a very, very, very minor notch there. So we haven't put the push rods in it yet to see. So that's what Randy's going to do now. Going to put together the rockers. And then we'll check this one. And hopefully, so my intent was to have like a full motor together, but I mean, it's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. A little bit, but I mean, it's part of it, you know. It just takes some time sometimes. Okay, guys, so they have been working on this diligently. So they got everything cleaned up, and they are now just going to put the rocker arms on it and just check to make sure that we got plenty of clearance. So I think we're going to be okay. What do you think? Looks okay, I think. Famous last words. And I'm very proud of Randy. This last time when we were grinding over here, he actually stayed in the room with us the whole time. He didn't run out. But I understand. I understand when we're butchering stuff up. It's just funny though. All right, so we think the motor is about ready to assemble. We got the lifters all in it, so all this is good. So the only thing we got left to do over here, we got to put the top fuel hoops in it. So we're going to stick these in it real quick. So put the top fuel hoops in it, and then we're going to bolt the heads on. And I think we'll have at least a assembled long block. So we'll see. You can see there again where we clearanced all the block stuff. Well, it was pretty easy. The only spots we had to clearance on the head were right here, and that was just where the intake push rod. Man, these things are monster. I mean, this tapered down, so we just angled that up a little bit. So we should be good to go. All right, guys. Well, we got one head on, and Randy, how's that 125? That's pretty rough, ain't it?
Yeah, pretty rough.
And so, you know, you got these, you see these head gaskets are solid. The receiver groove is in the block. The head, we got the actual top fuel hoops in there. So those are in, and they stick up. It's kind of hard to see. But so basically, yes, y'all did not see. I used the impact gun to just zing these down to like 5 foot-pounds of torque. I know there's probably a few people that probably freaked out on that. We're not sloppy mechanic style completely. I mean, that little gun might go to 125. You want to try it?
Hell yeah.
I mean, it'll be faster. I mean, let's try it, see what it does. But I don't know if y'all noticed too. I mean, we do it in steps. So we try to do it in a sweep, right? So when you're torquing down the heads, you don't want to stop and then start again, like when you're going from, you know, your first torque value to your next torque value. So we did 50 foot-pounds, and then once you do 50, we do it twice because there again, these O-rings, this thing's going to settle, and we'll end up torquing these heads again after it runs through a heat cycle, which means you got to pull all this stuff back apart. Luckily, you don't have to pull the headers off of it because of the way this is done, but you will have to take all the rocker arms to be able to get to those, but not a big deal. 2 torque cycles at 50, and then we did 2 torque cycles at 75, and then we did 100. And then we done 125 from there. So we did 3 steps, I think it was, is what our goal was. And so we're going to do the same thing over here on this one. All right, the heads are on. They are torqued down and they are ready to go. These are sticking up just a tad. These are the ones that I had to machine down just a little bit or grind down. But I think they're going to be fine. So we should be good there. So otherwise, man, we're getting close here, guys. We're going to put the rockers on it real fast, and then we're going to try to get the intake on it. All right, guys, so we got these rocker stands on, they're torqued down, and these are the rocker arms, of course, and these are very similar, but if you look at them, the exhaust one is just a little bit wider than the intake side, and I assume the reason they do that is because the exhaust valve, the exhaust rocker arm, is opening as the piston is still, as the chamber still has a lot of pressure. So when you look at the cam timing events, the EVO, the exhaust valve opening point, is always going to be as the combustion is happening. So there's a lot of pressure. So that's why you have a lot of exhaust issues. So the intake's usually not under that kind of pressure. So the exhaust is the reason they do that. The intake side is a 10-200. The exhaust is a 10-400. It's a long push rod, but they're 1/2 inch big. So they're huge, and you can see that's why we had to clearance everything. You can see it going right by there. It fits, but barely. And so one of the things when you're adjusting these, so this right now, this adjuster is all the way up. So ideally, about 1 turn out is your adjuster, and it can be in a little bit further or out a little bit further, but generally about a turn. And we're about maximum there. We're a little bit over 3/4 of a turn. And this one, we're about 1.25 turns, and so that puts it at 0 lash. So these are good, so we don't have to worry about oil flow issues. So that means the oil should be able to come up through the push rod. It'll get through here and then trickle down. So let's adjust these rock arms real fast, and then we should be good to go. All right, so we just went through a cycle. We got Randy to spin it over a couple times to make sure we have plenty of clearance. And I don't know that the word plenty is the best to describe it, but it is clearanced. So we do have room, so we're not gonna have an issue with touching. Now it is just January the 1st, so we were just thinking we were gonna go ahead and put these rock arms on and go ahead and adjust the valves, but it's probably gonna be at least a month before this thing's ready to fire up. So on second thought, I think what we're gonna do is we'll leave these on here like this, and then we will probably just leave it the way it is, put the intake on it, go ahead and get a couple bolts in that, put the valve covers on it, and then this thing will be ready to go drop in. Once we get, Randy's also changing the front K-member. He's gonna get one of the, I think he said racecraft front ends, where it's the Outlaw, so we can pull the pan off of it without pulling the rack and pinion off of it. So, in the K-member, so that's a good thing. So make it easier to work on when we're at the track. So I think what we're going to do is just make this thing so it's ready to drop in, so that when he gets the car back over here to Brian's, we can put the motor in it, and then it'll be mocked up, essentially ready to get the turbo kit built. So I guess that's what we're going to do. We'll do that real fast, and then we'll be done with it. Boy, I'm going to have to stand back like 10 foot to get that whole thing in the picture. That intake, guys, is freaking monster. CID intake with the CID heads. And they match up down there really good. But this thing is freaking massive. We pretty much all agreed that it is not going to fit under the factory hood. The bubble. I mean, because the intake, God. It's like, it's going to be... This is awesome. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. So we're not going to do this stuff like we talked about. We'll just leave these on here. We'll probably go ahead and throw the valve covers on it, and we're going to just get it so that it's dust-free for the most part. Oil pan still is not on it, but hopefully, man, we're getting closer. It'll be ready to go in soon, and we'll be making smoke with this thing relatively quickly. Wow, 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 wow. Comment, like, and subscribe, guys. See y'all.